Hey guys, we're going to do the numbers 22 to 32 in this video. Hope you're joining. Hi. If not, I hope you come back and check. So let's get started. Number 22. So number 22, the correct answer was G. So if you got it right, awesome. If you didn't get it right, well, let's figure out how to do it. Chris wants to graph a line using the points from the table below. If he graphs the line, what will the slope and y-intercept? So slope and y-intercept tells me I need to have my equation, y equals mx plus b. And to do this, I need to first find my slope. So to find my slope, I go to my star chart. And my star chart says y for slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to take 2 points from this table. And on these 2 points, I'm going to mark them 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to plug them into the equation. So y2 is 5, y1 is 1, x2 is 3, x1 is 1, and 5 minus 1 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 2, so I'm going to simplify that, and that gives me 2. So my slope is 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that slope and I'm going to plug it into my equation. I'm also going to take 1 point from the table and I'm going to plug it into this equation. So my y is 1, my x is 1, and I'm adding b. Now I can't solve this equation if I don't simplify it. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then I have plus b equals 1. So now I'm asking myself, well, 2 plus what is 1? If I don't know that, I need to solve this equation by doing the inverse operation. So instead of adding 2, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And I get b is equal to, or 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So on my answer choices, I'm looking for the slope of 2. So I can eliminate H, J, and F. And that just leaves me with G. Okay. Let's go to the next problem, number 23. Number 23, the correct answer was A. So let's figure out how it worked. 3 students drew triangles. The side lengths of the triangles appear below. Which students drew right triangles? This problem is in Unit 8. That is your Pythagorean theorem. And this is actually the Pythagorean theorem converse. And what the converse states is that in any right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to plug my side lengths into this equation. But I have to remember that c is always the largest side. Always. So I'm going to go through each of these. I'm going to circle my c. 6, 8, 10. 10 is the largest. That's my c. 7, 9, 16. 16 is my c. 13, 15, 19. 19 is my c. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. 10 squared is 100. Well, 36 plus 64, 6, that is 100. Does 100 equal 100? Yes. So Annette is a right triangle. I'm going to do the same thing for Edward. Edward, 7 squared plus 9 squared equals 16 squared. 7 squared is 49. 9 squared is 81. And then 16 squared, I gotta use my calculator. So 16 times 16 is 256. Now I'm going to add them. 49 plus 81 is 130. Does 130 equal 256? No. So it is not a right triangle. And then I'm going to do Michaela. Michaela is 13 squared plus 15 squared equals 19 squared. 13 squared is 169. 15 squared is 225. 19 squared, 19 times 19 is 361. So now I'm going to add those. 169 plus 225 is 394. Does 394 equal 361? No. That means this is not a right triangle. So the only one that was a right triangle was an N. Okay. Question number 24. Which sets of numbers below are listed from least to greatest? This is in Unit 1. And in order to do this, we need to remember ready, set, order. Review is the first set. Review, least to greatest. Set, we need to make them all decimals. And then we can order. So let's make them all decimals. So set 1. For this, let's see, we have square root 4, square root 9, negative square root 16, negative square root 25. I'm going to make them all decimals. Okay, so square root, clear. 4 square root is 2. It says it's a negative 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. And then it's once it least to greatest. So I'm looking from the left to the right. However, these are all negatives. So on negatives, I go back to my number line. And I notice it gets greater going to the right. So if I'm going least to greatest, I notice on the negatives, the smallest is actually the largest of the negatives. So when I'm looking here, my smallest, this is my least, and this is my greatest. So my first one should be square root of 25. That is not least to greatest. So this is false. Next, we're going to do number 2. So number 2 is, we already have one decimal, so we have a negative 0.63. Then we have 16%. We already have 0.4. And then we have 2 square root 3. Okay, what 2 square root 3 means is do the square root of 3 times 2. So 16% divide by 100, it is 0.16. 2 square root 3. For those that don't have a graphing calculator at home, I'm just using a 2-function calculator, so you can use that to help. So I'm going to do 3, and I'm going to do the square root. And then I'm going to take this number, and I'm going to times it by 2. And I get 3.46. So now I need least to greatest. So it says I have 0, 0, 0, 3. So far that works. It's 6. These are negative. So negative is always the smallest. So that works. Is 1 smaller than 4? Yes. And is 0 greater than 3? So part 2 checks out. That is least to greatest. My last one is I have -4, which is -4.0. I have -0.7, -0.29. Notice I'm adding my placeholders. And then I have -1/10. Well, -1/10 is 1 divided by 10. 0.1. So I have a -0.1. So remember, these are all negatives. So I have to go back to this number line. I see a -4 is way over here, and a 0 is right over here. So that is small. And I also see if my larger numbers, it looks mirror flipwards, backwards, that's how it's going to look. So this is smaller, and this one checks out. So 2 and 3 are your answers. Next problem. Number 25. Which of the following graphs represents a proportional function? Proportional, unit 5. On our star chart, we kind of talked about this. Proportional means that you have a slope, but you have no y-intercept. B is 0. That means your graph is going to go through the origin. So if I'm looking, A, does it go through the origin? No, so this is non-proportional. Does B go through the origin? No, non-proportional. C, this is undefined slope. It's non-proportional. It's not a function. D, yes, this is proportional. Okay. And then number 26. What does the algebraic representation below represent? Anytime you are multiplying, that is dilation. Every time you multiply by a scale factor, it is dilation. And the number you multiply by is the scale factor. Now here's the key. If this number is greater than 1, it is enlarged. That means it got bigger. Greater, big. Less than 1, it is reduced. So that means 1/9 is less than 1. So that means it is reduced. With it being reduced, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look. Okay, scale factor of 9, false. It's 1/9. 10, false. 3 3s, false. 1/9, there's my answer. I'm done. Okay. You're not solving dilations. You are just trying to find out what's happening to the figure. 27. Which mapping shows a function? This is in Unit 5. In Unit 5, to show a function, every x must have one y. So I'm going to use my highlighter, and I'm going to highlight my x's. My domain is the x. If you see the word domain, that means x. So I'm just highlighting my x's. And that means each x should only have one arrow. One arrow. So 1, 1, this has 2. This is not a function. B, 1, 1, 1, 1, check. 1, 2, this is not a function. 1, 1, 2, not a function. So the only one that is a function was B. Number 28. Jesse opened a savings account with a deposit of $2,500. The account earns 2.5% annual interest. Jesse plans to deposit $250 at the end of each year. What will be the account balance at the end of 3 years? Okay, so he's opening a savings account. They give you the deposit. So the principal is $2,500. The interest rate is 2.5%. That means you have to divide it by 100. So 2.5 divided by 100. I'm going to go do that real quick. 2.5 divided by 100. It has to be a decimal. So it's 0.025. And then it says time is 3 years. And every year he's adding $250 at the end of each year. So what would the account balance be at the end of 3 years? Now the downside is this problem does not have simple or compound. Okay, so it doesn't tell us simple or compound, but we have to think about it. If you are depositing $250 at the end of each year, so let's put this in a table. So this is my years. So in year 1, when he started, he had $2,500. He earned interest on this. So I'm going to earn interest. And so if I'm earning interest, I'm going to use my simple interest formula. So I is 2,500 times 0.025 times 3. $2,500 times 0.025 times 3 is $187.50. $187.50. So he earned interest. So I'm going to be adding 187.50. I know that after I add it, plus 2,500, I now have 2,687.50 at the end of the first year. Now he says on the next year he's going to deposit $250. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to add $250. Because that's what's going to happen in the next year. So now, plus $250, I have $2,937.50. This is how much is in my bank account. But again, I'm earning interest again. However, my interest isn't on the $2,500. My interest is on the $2,600 because this is how much I have in my bank. So I'm going to earn interest. So I need to plug that back in. Times 0.025 times 3. It's 220. I'm going to add it back to this plus $2,937.50. And I have $3,157. $57 and some change. But now I'm going to my next year. So this was 1 year, this is 2 years, and I keep going. Do the same process. You are finding the interest. I will get to that number. Okay. Oh, Lord. Amen. What I'm also doing is every time I have to keep adding, I'm doing compound interest because I'm adding. Okay? So, I'm going to pause on this problem. I'm going to keep going. I want you to keep going on that one to see if you can get that if you were still stuck. Let's go to the next problem. 29. The value of m varies directly with the value of n. Varies directly. That means proportional. So it means y over x, which is your slope, is equal to k, your constant proportionality. Again, slope. Slope and constant proportionality, very similar. So when m is 42, n is 14. So that means why don't they use x and y? This is one I'm having an issue. The value is okay. So when it says m varies directly with n, that's the same as saying when x varies directly with y. So my y is n. So 14 divided by 42. That is going to give this to me. And 14 divided by 42 is 1/3. I'm going to simplify it. Now, it's asking for me to plug it back in. Y equals mx, or kx is on your star chart. I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it in. That is my slope. And it tells me what is the value of m. So I don't know what x is, but I know my y is 84. So now I solve this equation. Instead of multiplying by 1/3, I'm dividing by 1/3. So 84 divided by 8/3. 1/3. Well, when you divide by a fraction, that means you're multiplying by the opposite. So 84 times 3, 252. When I am dividing by 1/3, that means I'm multiplying by the opposite. I reciprocal, flip it. So 3, 3, 1, 1. 3 over 1, so I get 252 equals x. Okay. Almost there. Number 30. Number 30 is unit 7, what we're doing right now. If triangle TUV is dilated by a scale factor of 1/3. Anytime you see that scale factor, it means you're multiplying by 1/3. What is the area? So, if I wanted to find my area, I can find my new points. I'm multiplying by 1/3. So if the T is 2, 7, U is 2, 1, V is 8, 1. It means I'm taking 1/3 of every point. I can find my new shape and then I can find the area. That is a long way to do this. Can you do it? Yes. But one of the rules we talked about in our notes, or we're coming up on, says that when you are doing a scale factor, your scale factor for the perimeter will change by multiplying by that scale factor. But if you're doing the area, you're going to take that scale factor and you're going to square it. And you're going to multiply the area by that number. So the square of 1/3 is 1/3 times 1/3. That is 1/9. Because area is a square. A square is area. So whatever the area is for this triangle, if I multiply it by 1/9, I get the area of my new triangle. So let's find the area of this triangle. My base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My height, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so area of a triangle, base times height divided by 2. 6 times 6 divided by 2, which is 18. Now, if I take 18 and I multiply it by 1/9, I will end up with 18 divided by 9, which is 2. And that's my answer. Okay. And then number 31. This is Unit 6. The scatter plot below shows the attendance at an art museum since it's a grand opening. How many visitors should the art museum expect in 4.5 months? So I'm going to go 4.5 months. I'm drawing my line up. I'm going to follow this pattern. And I know my answer is going to be somewhere around there. So that is between about 650 to 700. So right around there. And I'm looking at 700 is my answer. You're predicting. Last question. Number 32. During the summer months, a kudzu vine can grow 11 inches per week. Which graph represents the rate of growth? Keyword rate. That is slope. So which graph represents this slope? 11 inches per week. So if I'm at 1 week, I should be at 11. That line does not touch it. If I make a little table, week, inches, 1 week should be 11. 2 weeks should be 22. 3 weeks should be 33. 4 weeks should be 44. 5 weeks should be 55. I am looking for the graph that matches that. 1 week, 11. 2 weeks, 22. 3 weeks, 33. 4 weeks, 44. So far, that one's working. 1 week, that is definitely not 11. 2, that is not 22. That one's wrong. This one says it doesn't change. This says slope is 0. So that's definitely not it. So the answer was G. I hope this helps y'all. On that interest problem, if you're continuing, I wanted you to continue that, and I want to check in with you tomorrow. If I'm going to be looking for everybody's problem on that problem. If you're still troubling, I'm going to be calling you to help you. Just let me know. But I do want you to continue with that and see what you can do. Tomorrow we'll do the rest. Have a good day.